Yay, you get to put up with me again. Brilliant. Yeah, so look, this is a video I had debated doing over the last few weeks, obviously. And obviously the last result in League One that Sunderland had was that 0-0 draw against Charlton. Very quickly, by the way, before I forget, I'm trying to get to 2,000 subscribers by the end of 2020. Last year, I had the target of getting to 1,000 subscribers, which you lovely lot smashed it. I was amazed at how quick that went. But this time, I'm not far off 1,800 last time I checked. But I'm around about that mark anyway. But I want to try and get a 2k before the end of the year. If I can do that, that would be absolutely incredible. I'm amazed how far this channel's come in terms of subscribers. And people seem to like watching us. So there you go. That would be amazing. If you could do that, it's safe to say 2020 has been a very difficult year for a lot of people. But for me, this would make my year if I end up getting to 2,000 subscribers. And it's all thanks to you guys. So hit the like button if you like the video. Hit subscribe if you're not sick of us. And let's hopefully get to 2,000. Anyway, on to the video. So, for me, I kind of wanted to try and assess Sunderland's start because I did say numerous times on Twitter at MichaelBowers15 that I would assess the start after 4 games. Now, obviously, the games we've had so far are Bristol Rovers at home, Oxford away, Charlton at home, not Charlton at home, bloody hell, and Peterborough at home and Charlton away. That's the obviously that's the 4 games that we've had. Now, for me, I did say before the start of the season, an absolute minimum of 8 points is what we should have been aiming to target for. Obviously, after Bristol Rovers, when I said 8 points, I did think we would beat Bristol Rovers, and I thought 5 points in whatever order from the other games is not good, but it's satisfactory. I would say it would be like a 6 out of 5 or 6 out of 10 start. For me, it's about a 7 out of 10 start. It's a pretty... I'd even maybe push for an 8, just because of who we've played. If you go through the games one by one, like I said, I still maintain. Sorry, Charlie, again, if you're watching this. Bristol Rovers got a very good result from their perspective against us. They're not going to complain about it, and why should they? Why should they roll over and take it for us? They shouldn't. But from my own perspective, that's 2 points dropped, regardless of the late equaliser. For me, we should be beating Charlton. We should be beating almost anyone in this league for me. But Bristol Rovers in particular, I think that was a game that if you want to go up, we should be looking to win the game. The application there wasn't there for the first 45 to 60 minutes for me. Not saying we didn't try, I just didn't think the application was there. Then you go to the Oxford game, which very, very good result. They were 90 minutes away from getting promoted last season, which obviously they lost to Wickham in the playoff final. Then you play Peterborough at home. Performance not the best, but we got the penalty. People can say we wouldn't have scored without the penalty, but nevertheless we did get the penalty and we scored it. We got the 1-0 win. Very good result against a team who, in my opinion, bolster with the likes of Srike Dembele, Mo Isa, Johnson Clark-Harris, Sammy Smodics. They've got the best forward line, or at least one of the best forward lines in the league. You saw that, not very, very recently, they were 1-0 down against Swindon, who have started pretty well, and they scored 3 second-half goals. They have it within them to score goals. So to nullify them, I thought was very, very good. That game was always going to be a tight game for me. While you're entitled to your own opinion, I didn't quite agree with the criticism of the performance, just because I didn't expect to outplay Peterborough. I think if we had tried to outplay Peterborough, we would have got beaten comprehensively. That was the best way. I said we had to keep them quiet if we're going to beat them. We won 1-0, and then obviously the last league game that's happened not long ago, which is Charlton Athletic 0, Sunderland 0. I've obviously just had my own say about that game in particular, so go and watch it on my channel. It's on there. It's only it's only like 5 minutes. There's only 5 minutes of the time you have to waste. But like I said, my biggest thing is with the Charlton game. I am very frustrated with the fact we didn't get 3 points based on the first half, where we had at least 3 or 4 really good chances to score. Now, obviously, again, it is a concern we're not finishing the chances. I do understand that, and I agree with it. However, like I've said before, I would be 10 times more concerned if we didn't create the chances in the first place. Danny Graham, for example, there was one time where whoever it was down the right-hand side drilled the ball across the box, and Danny Graham literally skies it over the bar somehow. And all he had to do was just get the shot on target, and it's a goal for me. But Danny Graham, and I'm not going to slate Wyke too much because I do that in lots to the point where it probably annoys people. But what I will say is Graham is a much more... you can tell Graham's technically much better than Wyke. And to be fair, Graham has been used to playing at a higher level than Wyke. You can just tell he offers more going around the pitch. He gets himself into better scoring positions. And I think if you had the likes of him and Griggs starting up top, as much as I personally quite like O'Brien, if you had Graham and Griggs starting up top, I think that would be a pretty decent partnership. Now, theoretically it would be anyway. We'll have to wait and see. One of the biggest things, though, that I would, like I said, but obviously... So yeah, the performance I thought was very good against Charlton, especially in the first half. Once we went down to 10 men, I did say I would be happy with a point, and I was happy with a point only because we were down to 10 men. Regardless of the fact that we played very well and we were easily the better side before then, regardless of that though, once you go down to 10 men, your game plan has to change. You've got to adapt to being down to 10 men, and at that point the mentality was just to do not lose. And for me, that was the right call, because however badly Charlton are doing at the minute, they are still going to be a decent side this season for me. Fine if you disagree with us, but I think that's not a bad point in the circumstances. And 7 points against Oxford, Peterborough and Charlton, while keeping 3 clean sheets, don't forget, I think is actually a very good return so far. Obviously now, after the international games coming up, we've got Swindon. Now they've started well, but we should be looking to beat them. We don't have the right to, obviously, but we should be looking to beat them. Likewise with Crewe, Pompey at home, I would even say Pompey haven't started the best, but again, Pompey are a better team than the start suggests. Need to get at least a point there, but ideally all 3. Then you've got Rochdale away, who we expect to beat. Again, don't have the right to. Likewise with Gillingham away after that. We don't have the right to win any of these games, but if you want to get promoted, we have to be winning them. If these problems of not scoring with the strikers still persist after those games, then yeah, fair enough. And if if this type of thing continues if we played like we did against Peterborough, for example, against the likes of Crewe and Rochdale, then I fully agree with the criticism, because we should not be playing like that against them. But nevertheless, I did kind of want to lead into this segment about performances versus results and how much each one matters, because I've seen this quite a lot over the last couple of weeks. If you look at the Peterborough and Charlton game, now obviously on the Sunday bunch that happened last weekend, Man Mistake was basically of the opinion that the Peterborough and Charlton games were completely different because Peterborough set out to win the game, whereas you could argue Charlton didn't. I was surprised that Charlton didn't do as much, but I would put that out in some respects. How do we know that's not down to Sunderland not letting them do as much? Now, what my point was getting at on SCFC Fan TV on the last Sunday bunch was the fact that I didn't understand how the performance was the narrative of the Peterborough game, even though we won the game, whereas this week the result is, even though the performance deserved, you could argue the performance deserved 3 points. Now, this is just a subjective thing, so take this with a pinch of salt, but for me, I don't like the conflicting narratives every single week. It's like, well, surely if you just focus on the performance against Peterborough, then you should be doing that against Charlton. If you just focus on the result against Peterborough, you should be doing that against Charlton. You should be doing it one way or the other. And obviously I'm probably a hypocrite. I've been guilty of this myself sometimes, but I think I do agree with something that Dino said on SCFC Fan TV, which he is spot on about. Sunderland getting results while not playing well is good for a time, and I do believe against Peterborough, we're not going to play teams like Peterborough every week. But playing rubbish, quite frankly, and getting a win is good in certain situations and in certain games. I do fully understand that. But I do agree that it's not sustainable over the course of the whole season. You are going to have to start playing better because, if you keep playing rubbish, teams are going to figure out what you're going to want to do. What your game plan is, what your style is, what your formation or system is and tactics are. You're going to get figured out one way or another. And we need to address that in games coming up. But against Charlton, I did see enough. However, like I said, and this is the big thing, performances do matter over the course of the season. Look at the amount of times under Jack Ross, just for instance. And funny that it was just over a year ago, funny enough, that he got sacked, which was bizarre now that I think about it. But under Jack Ross, we had a number of games where we weren't very good, but our quality showed. Now, I didn't mind that because we were winning games. As long as you got promoted, that's fine. And I still stand by that here. We're not going to get away with 46, in this case, another 42 Peterborough games, for instance. We're not going to get away with that if we play like that every week. And Gary Bennett was right there. What I disagreed was, how do we know we're going to play like that every week? We're not going to. We're not going to play like that every week. If we did this over the course of the season and we're lucky enough to get promotion, then fair enough. But Sunderland shouldn't be lucky in getting promotion. We should be aiming to get it pretty convincingly. Having said that, performances in the end of the day do matter. Now, Jack Ross, again, the performances did start to catch up to us and we were starting to look very average at best under Jack Ross. That was one of the big reasons why I did think getting rid of him over a year ago was the right call, because I did see under Jack Ross, you'll get the odd win here and there, but you'll also get a Peterborough or a Lincoln last season. You'll get results like that, which ultimately isn't good enough, especially in the case of Lincoln. If Sunderland which is in Sunderland's aim of going up, it's not good enough there. So performances over the course of the season will start to matter. But what I am encouraged by though is that we have got one of the best backlines in the league, arguably the best backline, I would say. Now, this is assuming, obviously Tom Flanagan at the moment is suspended because of his red card against Charlton, which, by the way, I agree with Nick Barnes on the Speak Sunderland podcast, which I'm a part of on a semi-regular basis, that if Tom Flanagan hadn't made that challenge, Colin Washington probably would have scored against Lee Burge. So in hindsight, because we got the point, it does look like the right thing to at least take one for the team and earn the red card, but at least give us a chance of getting something there. So defensively, though, we do look extremely solid at the moment. Now, obviously, I'm not as everyone knows, I missed a clean sheet, but I'm not expecting us to keep clean sheets every game. That's impossible. It's human nature. We are going to concede goals from open play. So far this season, we have not conceded a goal from open play, but obviously, that is going to change across the season. We are going to concede goals from open play. It's going to happen. But if you can keep them regularly enough, and I've always said it constantly, over and over and over again, you look at the 1-1s under Jack Ross, turn them into 1-0 wins and keep clean sheets, you're promoted. Simple as that. Even the playoff final, keep a clean sheet there, you're promoted. That's it. So as far as I'm concerned, clean sheets are just as important as scoring goals. Now, we have got a really good back line. We've got a really solid back line, assuming the likes of Bailey Wright, John Wills, etc. stay fit. If we can achieve that, if we can get that, then we are doing very, very well. And Sunderland have it within us, for me, to score 1 or 2 goals a game. Now, obviously, I do not want to rely on that to win games, because that is also not sustainable over the course of the season. We do need to score more goals. But keeping clean sheets is one area I am very impressed with. And this is one of the big reasons why I think Parkinson is the right man to take us forward. Just because of the fact that he has sorted out the defence, which was a big criticism under Jack Ross. And I think if we can just address the goal-scoring aspect of our strikers, I think we've got a very good chance of getting into the top 2 this year. That's if we keep that up, obviously. Look, guys, that's it. It's a waffle. It's a 12-minute waffle on, basically. But that's it. My analysing Sunderland start. I think if I had to grade it out of 10, I would say probably an 8, bearing in mind, probably not the same amount of points, bearing in mind only because of who we've played. Now, you look at, say, Hull, for example, and Lincoln. Look at Hull's games, for instance. You know, just say the first few games, they played Gillingham, which is a big result away. Obviously, they'll have just played Fleetwood last night. But you've got to remember, they've also played like Plymouth, Crewe and Northampton. Now, obviously, I'm not saying those sides are mugs, but they've played promoted teams. Now, if Sunderland had played, say for an example, Sunderland had played Bristol Rovers, Accrington, Rochdale and Crewe, for instance, in our first 4 games, and we had 8 points, I wouldn't be happy with that start. I would expect at least 10, if not 12 points. So I'm basing it purely off who we've got. Obviously, now the games we've got coming up, like I said, these are the games where we need to start kicking on, and we have to get promoted this year. No doubts about it. Anyway, I'll love you and leave me there, guys. Thanks again for putting up with it if you've watched this long. I'll be back in the near future for reactions of games coming up. It's a big season ahead for Sunderland, but nevertheless, let's just hope, for goodness sake, that we achieve promotion, and by that I mean top 2. Love you and leave you guys, and stay safe, everybody.